Are you excited, Luca? I wish I was going with you. I'm going to miss you so much, big brother.
Breathe, Anna. Ugh, my little sister could be so annoying. As if I wasn't already embarrassed by my dad crying in front of my friends. It was the night of my farewell party. In 2 days, I'd be flying to the United States to start college. My dad's former boss, Mr. Warren Campbell, offered to pay for my tuition and give me a job at his restaurant. Dad had worked as his gardener for over 10 years before his bad health forced him to come back home.
Everyone, I'd like to say a few words about my boy Luca and show you something Anna put together.
Dad, you don't have to. I was losing cool points with my friends fast. As I listened to my dad, I wondered what kind of life waited for me on the other side. So far, life hadn't been so kind to me and my family. Mom and Dad struggled to keep us fed and in school. Dad said that we were a humble family. I called it like I saw it. We were poor. Clapping and cheering erupted all around me. I looked up to see what the fuss was all about and nearly choked on my drink. Playing on the TV were videos of me as a child. Anna, what did you do? I was furious.
I really worked hard on this. You could at least look happy.
Of course I'm happy. I'm especially happy I'm leaving my annoying little sister behind.
Nice try. We both know you'll miss me.
Actually, I wasn't going to miss Anna. She was part of a life I planned to leave behind. College was going to be a fresh start for me. Having Anna there would suck.
Well, don't leave me hanging.
Huh? What did she want now?
Come on, say it.
Huh?
That you'll miss me, silly.
Oh, sure. The hurt look on her face made me feel guilty, so I hugged her awkwardly.
Oh, don't you two look adorable?
My girlfriend Gina stood watching us with a smile on her face.
Hey, Gina, are you sad that Luca is leaving you? He's not leaving me. We'll talk on the phone every day, right, Luca?
I knew what Anna was doing. A few days ago, she overheard me say that I was going to make new friends and maybe get a new girlfriend. She was trying to get me to tell Gina the truth. Right. You girls talk. I gotta go see if Dad needs help. I took off before Anna said something else. Hours later, the party was finally over, and I said goodbyes to my friends and Gina with promises to keep in touch. I planned to do no such thing.
Yo, Luca, a bunch of us are hitting the clubs later. You coming?
Rob, one of my college buddies, asked. Rob was flashy. He drove expensive cars and dated the hottest girls on campus. Sometimes he'd let me drive, and I'd imagine the cars were mine. I always acted unimpressed whenever he bragged about his latest car or girlfriend. I had to make him think I was used to this kind of lifestyle. You see, Rob had no idea that my parents could barely afford food for me and my siblings. He didn't know that I cleaned Warren's pool and waited tables at his restaurant after class. I don't know, dude. Hitting clubs is getting kind of old. How about a pool party?
Yeah, that'd be so cool. Hey, I've never been to your house. How about you host? I'd love to hang out at the pool I saw on your photos.
I bet you're wondering when or how I got a house with a pool. You last saw me at my farewell party, right? Well, that was months ago. While it was true I now lived in a house with a pool, it didn't belong to me. It belonged to Warren. A few weeks ago, he found me cleaning his pool and he asked if I'd like to live in the guest house by the pool. I couldn't believe my luck. Rob didn't know any of this. I'd told him that my parents used the house whenever they came to the United States for business or on vacation. I don't know, man. My parents are coming this weekend, but we could have the party at the guest house. It's like a cool bachelor pad. Rob looked impressed. A few days later, my phone rang.
Luca, it's me, Dad. I have some good news. Anna got a job.
That's great, Dad. I tried to sound interested.
I need you to look out for her, okay? She arrives tomorrow.
Huh? Dad, what are you talking about? No, please don't say it, please.
I thought your mom told you. Mr. Warren offered Anna a job at his house. Isn't it great?
Great. Was he kidding me? Anna was going to ruin everything. The next day, I stood at the airport waiting for Anna. When she saw me, she practically tackled me to the ground.
Luca, I can't believe I'm here. Oh my God.
Keep your voice down. People are staring. Let's go. I half dragged her to the car I borrowed from Rob.
We're driving in that?
Anna was drooling. It's just a car, Anna. Get in.
Just a car? This is $100,000 car. Where did you even get that kind of money?
You're causing a scene, Anna. Get in or I'm leaving you here.
Geez, all right. I'm sorry I'm such an embarrassment for you.
I can't believe she was pouting after all that drama. Hey, Anna, look, I'm sorry, okay? It's good to see you.
Is everything okay, Luca?
Anna could always tell when something was wrong with me. Anna, there are some things I haven't told my friends.
Things like what?
My friends don't know about our life back home. or what I do here in order to survive. They think that Warren's house is Mom and Dad's. Anna was silent. She looked so sad and disappointed.
You know what, Luca? That's your business. But if you get caught, you're on your own.
Anna taking the high road? Now I'd seen it all. When we arrived at Warren's guest house, Anna disappeared into the room she chose would be her bedroom. I couldn't trust her not to tell Warren what I told her. I picked my phone up and called Rob. I had to cancel the party.
Luca, sup?
For the last time, my name is Luca. If you can't say it right, then don't say it at all.
Jeez, who peed in your coffee?
It's nothing, sorry. Anyway, I'm calling about Saturday.
Please don't tell me you're canceling. Everyone's so psyched. I even got Holly to agree to come. Haven't you been pining for her all semester?
Dude, I don't pine. He was right though. I liked Holly, but I hadn't had the courage to ask her out yet. It was either that, or I was still feeling guilty for ignoring Gina's call for more than a month.
Are you canceling on us or not?
Forget I called. See you Saturday. When he said Holly was coming, I knew there was no way I was going to cancel. Anna better not mess this up for me. On the day of the party, Rob arrived early. He found me cleaning the pool.
Don't you have someone for that?
I had to think fast. He's out with the flu. Why are you here anyway? The party doesn't start for another hour.
I thought I'd help set up.
No need, my housekeeper already did that. Truth is, it was Anna who helped.
Housekeeper, huh?
I turned to see Anna holding a tray.
Dude, your housekeeper is smoking hot.
I didn't like the way he was looking at her. I wanted to tell him to stop, but I couldn't. Anna.
Don't.
She put the tray down and walked off. When my friends started to arrive for the party, I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. A lot could go wrong. Anna could tell everyone the truth. Warren could come home early. No, I couldn't think about that. It was too late to cancel anyway. An hour into the party, Holly still hadn't showed up. I was starting to get impatient. You sure she's going to show?
Dude, relax. Look who's here.
I turned, expecting to see Holly, but was surprised to see Anna. I didn't think she'd attend the party after what happened earlier.
Luca, hey, I want you to meet Jordan, my boyfriend.
A guy standing next to her nodded at me.
Hi, man. Cool party.
Since when do you have a boyfriend?
We don't tell each other everything, right?
She was daring me to say something. Right, whatever. Enjoy the party. Nice to meet you, Jaden.
It's Jordan.
I was already walking away. I didn't like the smug look on his face. I'd have to talk to Anna about him later. I was watching Rob embarrass himself trying to impress a girl when something caught my eye. Anna was standing on top of the pool table dancing. Jordan was watching and cheering her on. People were starting to gather around them. What on earth do you think you're doing? Get down from that table now. I ran to the table and grabbed her.
Hey, let her go.
Stay out of this. She's my sister, and you're letting her embarrass me in front of my friends.
Your sister? I thought you said she was your housekeeper.
All eyes were on me. Anna was close to tears. She ran off and Jordan ran after her.
Luca, what's going on?
Congratulations, you finally said my name right.
I'm not dumb, you know.
Since when did Rob become so sensitive? My head was spinning. I needed to get things under control. Look, guys, I told Rob that Anna was my housekeeper just to mess with him. It's no big deal. Can we go back to enjoying ourselves?
I want you out of here. You're so ungrateful and arrogant.
Everyone turned to look at Jordan. When did he come back? Anna was standing next to him. They were holding hands. You can't kick me out of my home. Are you stupid? Anna, who's this guy? Anna couldn't meet my eyes.
My name is Jordan Campbell.
Campbell? As in Warren Campbell?
Yes, Warren's my dad.
No, please God, no. This can't be happening. I couldn't breathe. My heart was pounding so fast. I fell on a lounge chair and put my head between my knees. Anna knelt next to me and put her hand on my shoulder.
Breathe, Luca, please.
I want you out first thing tomorrow morning. You don't deserve my father's kindness. And leave the clothes you're wearing behind too. Or did you think I wouldn't notice my clothes were missing?
Jordan yelled at me, drawing the attention of my friends. There were a few gasps. Jordan, I can explain. Please don't kick me out.
Save it. I've already seen enough. Everyone, please leave.
My guests hurriedly collected their stuff and left, giving me disgusted looks. How did I let things go this far? Not only was I about to be homeless, I may have lost my friends and Anna too.
Dude, I'm sorry. I should have told you who he was.
You knew I was lying this whole time?
Well, not at first, but then your mom...
My mom? How do you know my mom?
She's my parents' housekeeper. She's a lovely woman. Anyway, when you came to the USA, she was so happy. She told me that her son would be joining my college. She showed me your photo. She's proud of you, man. Why don't you ever call or see her?
I didn't know you. I didn't know she.
He didn't want people knowing that his family was...
You can say it. We're poor, okay? I just wanted to know what it feels like to be rich. I'm so sorry. Anna hugged me as Jordan watched us. I couldn't face him. I'll get my things out tomorrow. Please don't kick Anna out. I stood up and left. I couldn't look at their disappointed faces any longer. Hours later, my phone rang. I had a massive headache. I just finished packing. Anna hadn't come in yet. She was probably hanging out with Jordan. This is Luca.
Oh, my boy. Rob told me what happened. Are you okay?
It was my mom. Guilt overwhelmed me. I'd been in the United States for close to a year, and I never bothered calling her or asked to see her. How was she not mad at me? Mom, I'm so sorry. I messed everything up. She told me she was on her way. I wasn't sure I could handle seeing her again. When she arrived, Anna was present too. After a tearful reunion, Mom told me that someone wanted to talk to me. I went outside to find Rob sitting in his car. Hey, thanks for driving, Mom.
No problem. She's like a mom to me. So I was thinking, how about you come live with me? You could see your mom every day, unless you don't want that.
With the way I had been acting, I didn't blame him for thinking that. I'm ashamed of the way I behaved. Are you sure you want me living with you? I was thinking of going to the college dorms.
We all make mistakes. Yes, I'm sure. So what do you say?
Rob, I don't know what to say. Thank you so much.
Is that a yes?
Of course. The next day, I moved out of the guest house. Anna helped. She told me that Jordan had told his dad everything.
Warren is so angry. Luca, you might lose your job.
I don't know what I'll do if he fires me. He didn't. My dad managed to convince him to let me keep working for him. He did give me an hour-long lecture, though. Fun times. 2 months later, I walked into the house I shared with Rob and nearly had a heart attack.
Surprise!
What's going on?
We threw you a surprise birthday party, silly.
I stared at Anna, standing next to Mom and Rob. Some guys from class were there too, and guess who else was there? Gina. Gina, when did you get here? I asked as I scooped her up in my arms.
Today, morning. Happy birthday, Luca. Aren't you happy Holly never showed up at that party? Who's Holly?
Anna. Everyone laughed as they watched me chase my sister around the room. Tonight is beautiful. I held Tegan's hand as we looked up at the stars from the back porch swing. Suddenly, the door opened and Mr. Nelson, without a word, grabbed Tegan's arm and dragged her inside. I sprang into action and ran behind them. I held on to Mr. Nelson's arm just before it came crashing down on Tegan. Mr. Nelson turned to me and snarled. He grabbed a handful of my clothing in his large hand and lifted me above the floor and threw me through the front door. Tegan screamed as Mr. Nelson came after me on the lawn.
James, please just go. I'll be okay.
Feeling defeated, I held my ribs as I hobbled to my car. Whether Mr. Nelson knew it or not, this was not the end of it. If you want to see how I dealt with Mr. Nelson for his hospitality, keep watching till the end of the video. Luckily for me, I was able to drive myself to the hospital where I called my parents and told them where I was.
What happened?
Mom and Dad rushed into the hospital room just as I was pulling my t-shirt on.
Your son will be fine.
Dr. King said.
A few bruised ribs, but in a few days he'll be okay.
Bruised ribs?
Mom gasped and looked at me wide-eyed. Someone tried to rob me on the way home, but I was able to get away. Mom hugged me tightly and cried.
Paula?
Dad looked at my reddened face.
You're suffocating the boy.
Mom removed her arms hesitantly. Dad turned to Dr. King.
Can he go home now?
Yes, he's free to leave.
I thanked Mr. King, and my parents and I left the hospital. I drove with Dad, and Mom drove my car. I was happy Dad suggested I drive with him. At least for now, I got away from Mom's 20 questions scenario. As soon as I got home, I tried to call Tegan, but I only got her voicemail. I wasn't about to let Mr. Nelson ill-treat her or her younger siblings anymore. It was time someone taught that bully a lesson. Before I continue, let me start at the beginning. It all started with pizza. Pizza is my #1 fast food go-to. I ordered pizza at least 4 times a week. Orlando, my normal pizza guy, would usually stick around for a slice or two before leaving. However, one afternoon, Orlando didn't show. Instead, when I opened the door, before me stood a tall, slender, long-haired brunette with the most gorgeous sapphire eyes.
That will be $24, sir.
She stared at me. I cleared my throat. Sure. I handed her the money. Where's Orlando? She shrugged.
I don't know. I just deliver pizzas.
I thanked her and closed the door. I ordered pizzas for the next 14 days just to see her. She told me that her name was Tegan. It was almost a month before I asked her if I could take her out on a date. It took another month before she said yes. Over the next few months, I found out that Tegan's mother died. She and her younger siblings, Monique and Josiah, now lived with their dad. While Tegan worked to bring in money for the household and take care of her family, her dad sat around the house watching TV. "Why don't you leave?" I asked her one evening while we were having dinner.
Well, I can't just leave my siblings and my father will come looking for us. I'll stay and protect them until they are of age to leave. Besides, I promised Mom on her deathbed to look out for my siblings, and I always keep my promises.
I sighed heavily. "If you ever change your mind, you know I'm here for you." Tegan nodded but didn't say anything for a few seconds.
Dad wasn't always like that. He was loving when Mom was around. Dad is dealing with Mom's loss just as I am. He's just dealing with it in his own way.
And back to the present. Later that night, as I prepared for bed, I knew I had to do something to help Tegan and her siblings. I mean, isn't that what boyfriends are supposed to do to make things easier? I wasn't totally truthful to Tegan about my past and why my parents and I had moved. The truth is, and it's even hard for me to admit it now, I was in a gang. My parents thought it was best for us to move when I was 15, and without the negative influences, maybe I'd be able to make something of myself. I finished school and I was in my last year of college. However, unknown to my parents, I kept in contact with a few of my past friends. The very next day, I contacted Yellows, one of the guys I kept in contact with, and I told him the situation. I told him I just needed him and a few of the guys to scare Tegan's father. I told them about the situation, and all I wanted was for them to scare the father into treating his children better. Yellows and I agreed that the scare tactic would occur the next night. My nerves were on edge the whole of the next day. I couldn't eat and I couldn't drink. I tried calling Tegan again and still no answer. I went to her workplace after class and she wasn't there. I went home that evening and sat on the sofa watching nothing in particular. It was around 10 p.m. on the late night news when a news reporter announced that a robbery had occurred at the Nelson residence. It was alleged that her father was beaten, items were stolen, and Tegan was kidnapped. Kidnapped? I flew up from the sofa and immediately grabbed my phone and called Yellows.
Yo, James, what's up?
Yellows responded from the other side. What in the world did you do? Kidnap? You kidnapped her?
Wait, what? Kidnapped who?
Yellows sounded confused. Tegan, I told you to scare Mr. Nelson, not kidnap Tegan.
James, we did not kidnap Tegan. We just roughed up her old man a bit and tied him up and left.
Turn on Channel 6 News now. The phone went silent for a few seconds before Yellows responded.
James, we've been friends for a long time. I'll never do anything to hurt your girl. Something must have gone down after we left.
I'll call you back. I hung up without waiting for Yellows to respond. Had I made things worse? If Yellows and the boys didn't do it, then what happened? After a week, Tegan was still missing and the police had no leads. I felt like I was losing my mind. Then it struck me. What if it wasn't Yellows? What if Mr. Nelson did something to Tegan and lied about it? I decided that the only way to get answers was to question Monique and Josiah. I waited for them outside their middle school. When they saw me, they hesitated and Josiah held Monique's hand. "Hey guys, how are you? Just wanted to check up on you," I said as they passed me. Neither Josiah nor Monique answered. I walked beside them. "Do you guys know where Tegan is?" Monique looked at me. She looked as though she was about to answer when Josiah said annoyed,
We don't know where she is. We need to get home.
"If your dad did anything to her, you could tell me." Josiah and Monique stopped and turned to me. Just then, a police car pulled up beside us, and the police officer turned to Monique and Josiah.
Kids, is this guy bothering you?
The officer shot me a stern look.
Yes, he is. May we have a drop home, please?
The officer got out of the car.
Sure, no problem.
He opened the back door, and the kids got in. As they drove off, I noticed Monique turned in the back seat and looked at me until the car was out of sight. I got an uneasy feeling in my stomach. My gut instinct told me that Monique and Josiah knew where Tegan was, but were too afraid to say. That night, I parked my car 2 blocks away from Tegan's house and walked the rest. I didn't want anyone to see my car. I wore dark clothes and a hoodie pulled over my face so I couldn't be noticed. I hid behind the bushes until I saw the last light in the house go off. I then waited another 15 minutes to make sure that everyone was asleep before I jimmied one of the windows and entered the living room. I allowed my eyes to get accustomed to the darkness since I didn't want to use a flashlight to make someone on the outside aware that I was in the house. First, I crept to 𝗕𝗔𝗦𝗬's room. The scent of her filled my nostrils as soon as I entered. I missed her smile, her laughter, her kisses. I needed to get to the bottom of this quickly. I spent about 15 minutes in her room searching through her papers and cupboards, but came up barehanded. Maybe I should check the basement. If she's hidden, it has to be there, I mumbled to myself. I crept down to the basement and grimaced when the basement door creaked loudly as I opened it. I slid into the basement and left the door slightly ajar. While in the basement, I looked in cupboards. I noticed one cupboard in the corner was chained, and as I walked towards it, I tripped over a floorboard. I stooped and realized that the floorboard could move. Carefully, I placed my fingers under the floorboard and was about to lift it when I heard the floorboard creak behind me. As soon as I spun around, Mr. Nelson punched me in the jaw. I stumbled backwards and crashed into the floor. I blocked my face from Mr. Nelson's attacks until I was able to kick him in the stomach and get away. "You killed her! You killed 𝗕𝗔𝗦𝗬!" I screamed. I tried to dodge around Mr. Nelson as I tried to escape, but he was a large man. He grabbed me by my shirt and dragged me up the stairs like a sack of potatoes. As I struggled against him, he got rope from below the kitchen sink, tied me up, and called the police. Sirens blared about 5 minutes later, and Mr. Nelson opened the door for them to come inside.
"I found this boy snooping in my basement and I'd like to press charges,"
Mr. Nelson smirked. "He killed 𝗕𝗔𝗦𝗬. Tell them how you hid her below the floorboards in the basement," I yelled. By this time, Josiah and Monique were awake and peeped from the doorway of their bedroom. One of the officers turned to Mr. Nelson.
Sir, would you like to tell us what this young man is babbling about?
Mr. Nelson looked at me. A wave of uneasiness washed over his face. I smiled.
Sir, we would like to see that basement.
The officer looked from me to Mr. Nelson. "Untie me and I'll show you where it is." The senior officer instructed an officer to untie me. Mr. Nelson stepped towards me and the senior officer stood in front of him and placed his hand on his chest. Mr. Nelson stepped back.
"Okay, son,"
the senior officer said as I stood up.
"Show us where the body is."
Gladly. I glared at Mr. Nelson and pushed past him and went to the basement. With the help of the officers, we removed some of the floorboards. What we saw next changed my life forever. Below the floorboards were beer bottles. The officers looked at me puzzled. Mr. Nelson spoke up.
"After 𝗕𝗔𝗦𝗬 was kidnapped, I promised Monique and Josiah I would stop drinking. I hid these down here so the kids wouldn't see it. But sometimes it's so hard after losing my wife, now 𝗕𝗔𝗦𝗬."
Mr. Nelson's voice crumbled to the end of his sentence. He walked back to the living room, followed by the officers and me. Needless to say, Mr. Nelson pressed charges for breaking and entering, and I was given a 1-year sentence with hard labor. Every day that I spent behind those prison walls, I thought about 𝗕𝗔𝗦𝗬. I regretted the decision I made and wished I could change it. Living with that kind of regret took a toll on me mentally, physically, and emotionally, which caused me to lose a lot of weight in prison. My parents came to visit me as often as possible, and honestly, if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have made it out alive. About 6 months into my sentencing, I was out on parole and was warned to stay away from 𝗕𝗔𝗬𝗪's house. A few days after my release, while watching television with my parents, we heard sirens outside. Then, someone banged on the door. Mom and Dad exchanged looks before Dad opened the front door.
"Good evening, sir. Is James at home?"
The officer that stood outside asked.
"What's this about?"
"Is James at home? We'd like to question him."
"About what?"
I walked to the door and folded my arms. Talk to me about what?
"Monique and Josiah Nelson have been kidnapped. Do you know anything about it?"
"Don't answer that.
Dad said.
We have been at home with James for the past 3 days. If you need further information, I will give you the number of our lawyer."
Dad stepped outside and closed the door behind him. Mom came and stood beside me and hugged me. I buried my head in her neck and allowed the tears to flow. I couldn't believe this was happening again. Over the next few days, I spoke with the family lawyer and the police. Dad even gave them home security footage to promise I was home during the time of the kidnapping. I was no longer a suspect, at least for now. One evening while I was home alone, someone knocked on the door. I opened the door, but no one was there. On the floor lay a package, which I picked up and took inside. It didn't have a name, a stamp, or a return address on it. In the box were memories that I had with 𝗕𝗔𝗦𝗬, pictures, CDs, ticket stubs, and dried up roses. In the box was a letter written by Tegan, where she explained that the night her family was robbed, after the men left, she snuck away. Her father was unconscious, and she told Monique and Josiah that she would come back for them. She said that she and her siblings were now safe, and she hoped to see me again someday. My eyes filled with tears. After I read the letter, I burned it to protect their secret. I was happy she was free from her father, but I was sad that she didn't tell me about it earlier, even though I understood why she couldn't. I provided a way for her to be free, and now I'm at peace. It is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.